right, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I would like to call to order the meeting for the St. Mary's County Board of Education for Wednesday, April 25th, 2018. May I have a motion to move into executive session?
I move the board enter into executive session for the purpose of personnel issues under Maryland Local Government Code Article Section 9-512A, number 1, and administrative function items under Maryland General Provisions Code Article Section 3-104.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, back in an hour. Oh, Gary, let me get out of here. This is chair. Okay, all right. All right, I'd like to reconvene the meeting for the St. Mary's County Board of Education for Wednesday, April 25th, 2018, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's see. First, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we will begin with board reports. Ms. Rowe?
So recently, just last week, we held our 2018 Youth Summit. And throughout the school year, we meaning Dr. Marr, Mr. Smith, I, and a lot of other high schoolers were trying to figure out what the focus of our summit would be. And we were talking a lot about civility, but we also talked about communication, whether that was face-to-face or online. But in light of recent events that have been occurring, we did definitely switch our focus to how we can keep our kids safe, but also how we can improve school atmosphere so that we are not just physically safe, but also emotionally safe. So throughout the day it was quite an interesting summit because it wasn't like last year, it was a civility summit. So we focused on how to keep stress levels low in high school and middle school. But this time we focused more on just improving school atmosphere. So throughout the day we had 2 guest speakers. We had Nathan Kimbrough for the high schoolers, and he was from another county, correct? Calvert County. And then we had Miss Molly McClowski for middle school. Mm-hmm. And both of them focused on, they had 2 very different presentations, but they definitely hit the target correctly, how they were trying to get it. And then at the end, we got to reconvene with our high schoolers, and we got to talk about what we're going to do going back. So every high school every high school and middle school
all secondary schools,
formed like a list of action steps that they wanted to go back and show their principals, and that's what they want to achieve for this coming school year. So it was a very effective youth summit.
Be safe.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to say our slogan.
Be
I'm sorry.
safe. Be good.
Yeah. And
Be
then
you.
be you.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Very nice. Well done.
Well, I had the privilege of going to the STEM Senior Capstone Projects, and one of the students that I got to speak with was Roma. Great project. I was very impressed. And I also enjoyed going around and speaking with the other students to find out a little bit about their project, what they learned from it, and also where they're heading to in the future. And if that project, helped them decide if what avenue they were going to be going for college. I did talk to one student who was deciding between 2 majors, and after doing his capstone project, decided that really was not for him. So I thought, well, you saved yourself a lot of money and, aggravation even later, having to change or getting into something that you really are unhappy with. So, but overall, the students had great projects and presented them well. And thank you, Roma, for speaking to me and to my husband. My husband wanted to go and see the project, so we had a great time. I also want to give a shout out to one of my favorite actresses that was in The Lion King at Benjamin Banneker Elementary School. She was Timon and did a wonderful job. All the students did an excellent job there, whether they were acting, singing, part of the group, and also the set design and all the parents that helped put it on. It was a great performance, and I had a wonderful time. And I have my Lion King t-shirt on so to help support the kids. So it was a lot of fun. So
I attended on April the 17th, the Commissioners of St. Mary's County's Budget Forum, and all of my colleagues attended as well. It was very well attended. It was held at Great Mills High School, and the auditorium was pretty well filled. I would say that most of the folks there were either parents or concerned citizens about, among other things, the safety in our schools. And Dr. Smith, I'm sure, will elaborate, but he made a very compelling argument for the need for the county commissioners to support and provide the funding to make sure that we enhance our school safety. Mrs. Willie was there. She was the mother of the young lady that was shot dead at Great Mills, and it was very emotional. And I think the county commissioners listened to her.
I have a couple things, so if you just bear with me, I'm going to add on to Mr. Davis's comment. There were a lot of students that showed up at the work session, and that wasn't really widely reported. I think there were 8 or 9 from Chopticon and Leonardtown High School that stood up to speak, and it was very encouraging to see the students take action, and several of them had the message that we're waiting for the adults to do the right thing for our schools, but it doesn't seem that they are, so that's why we are here to speak. It wasn't widely reported. I was very encouraged, and if anyone really is, I guess, questioning how some of our high school students are being prepared for their life after graduation, I think their poise and their eloquent statements during that budget session, and they were some of the first speakers, so the auditorium was still packed. I think that goes a very long way. So, and I think there were like 8 or 10 that spoke. The other item is, Dr. Smith alluded in his last report at our last board meeting that we were going to meet with Commissioner President Randy Guy and Dr. Bridget and Sheriff Cameron and Mike Wyant to go over some of the school safety measures that had been proposed. We did have that meeting. There was a pretty lengthy list that Dr. Smith and Mr. Wyant had come up with price tags attached, so to speak, whether it be one-time funds or recurring funds. And we did meet and kind of narrowed that list down. We're going to meet again on Monday and adding an additional county commissioner to that meeting. And then the hope is that we already have a joint meeting scheduled between the county commissioners and the Board of Education for May 12th. June 12th, excuse me. And that will be an open discussion about all of these options and what we have, with the intent to implement items prior to the start of the upcoming school year. Right. So that's an update, just because Dr. Smith had mentioned that. And then on another note, there were a group of students from Great Mills High School, the Stellar Explorers team, that they have been competing in various robotics and STEM-related competitions over the past several months, and due to their placing in those competitions, they won an all-expenses-paid trip to Colorado Springs for the National High School Space Challenge, and that just occurred over the last week. And it was not a STEM person, so help me here, Roma, but they used computer simulations to system design and performance assessment based on criteria that were provided to them. So I am happy to report that the advisor was Charles Skinner, and the team was Finnegan O'Neill, Bradley Wolforth, Joshua Hoffman, Clayton Crownover, Nicholas Zhao, and Alex Matamed, is that how you say his name? They had an 8-hour competition, which included presentation of their, whatever they did, their project, then individual interviews, and then they also had a team presentation. So they took first place. They're the national champions. Each student received a $3,000 scholarship as well. And so they're happy that they kind of built this team, and I know several of them are graduating this year. So the hope is to continue to build on that and have those, keep that Stellar Explorers team reputation going forward. So congratulations to all of them. They were pretty excited. I had several emails about it. So I think that's fabulous.
Fantastic.
So, and that is all I have. Do you, Ms.
Thank you.
Washington?
I attended the play Schoolhouse Rock Jr. performed by the Margaret Brent Middle School students. That was a wonderful play. I heard such great tunes, as some of people in my age group will remember. Conjunction, function, a noun is a person, place, a thing. The Great American Melting Pot, elbow room, 3 is a number. The dancing, singing, and acting in the stage setting were superb. The students did a fantastic job. And just recently, the composer and the writer of many of those songs just passed away at 94 years old. So he will be missed, but he made a great contribution to society that many people still have those songs going around in their heads. So that is just a small part of my report. Thank you.
Just to piggyback on Mrs. Bailey's comments, the students that came to speak to the commissioners about the budget, many of them were there to speak to the importance of the various programs that we offer in the schools, and a wish that that those programs could be expanded, especially the Academy of Visual and Performing Arts, and they really spoke beautifully to the fact that what they've gotten out of it and what they know they can get out of it, and the importance of continuing to grow that program. Mrs. Weaver and I attended the 48th Annual Special Olympics Spring Games at Leonardtown High School last week. We had a wonderful time. The athletes were just thrilled. We saw some amazing events and some runners that just, I don't think they could be beat. And the Special Olympics group here has an incredible record of sending athletes on to the state competition and even to the national competition and beyond. So congratulations to all those who participated, but also to the incredible number of volunteers who came to help put that game on. It is quite an undertaking, and the fact that there are so many people who are so dedicated and come back year after year to participate is really just a testament to their wish to be part of the system, to volunteer, and to support these incredible students and athletes. So congratulations to all.
Wonderful. Certainly attended many of those things with all of fellow board members. That was really quite wonderful. Shrek the Musical at Leonardtown Middle School, boy, that was an incredible amount of fun. Very well done, singing, dancing, costumes, really funny. The middle high school, elementary, the all-county jazz band concert at Leonardtown High School on the 12th, that was incredible. It is a time of recognition. So we had the SMECO Math, Science, and STEM Teacher of the Year recognition up in Waldorf. That's a really wonderful night. SMECO partners with the school system, St. Mary's County, as well as Calvert and Charles, in so many ways, but certainly to recognize our incredibly dedicated math, science, and STEM teachers. It was a really wonderful evening. The SLAC Summit was certainly a highlight of our time. That was so much fun. The kids were just absolutely wonderful. On the safety forefront, staff from St. Mary's County Public Schools, Mike Wyan, Christy Boyle, other members of the safety team, as well as representatives from Sheriff Cameron's office, we presented to the statewide school safety summit hosted by the Maryland Center for School Safety, talking about what has been going on in St. Mary's County and the things that we've done before and during and after that tragic event, in a hopes that some lessons learned might be able to be conveyed to others so that we might all be better prepared the next time we're faced with something such as that. I also went and spoke to the Maryland State Board of Education yesterday on a very similar topic. The last is perhaps the most, probably the most well-received thing that I would, because I was at the State Board yesterday, and we love our board meetings. They're fantastic. Ours last maybe 3 hours. The State Board starts at 9 o'clock and ends around 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon. that is a meeting. But it was well worth waiting because at the end of the day, they entertained all of the waivers from all the LEAs across the state for inclement weather. As you all know, Board, we have submitted a request because we went beyond our allotted days. And if we were to add that snow day that we had that Wednesday several weeks ago, we would be ending school on Monday, June 18th. And I'm very pleased to say that Karen Salmon and the Board of Education, the Maryland State Board of Education, have approved the waiver. So, indeed, school will end for all students on May 15th.
June.
And the crowd goes crazy. No. Good catch. June 15th. So
I
we will
think you need to
have
take
to go
maybe a
on.
slight break. I'm thinking maybe you've been working a little.
It's
Untitled
going to
waiver.
be, everything's kind of flowing in together. But this really does start a fantastic season of recognition of all of our incredible students, and we're going to have a great recognition of artwork. On the Thursday, May 10th, we have an entire evening dedicated to recognizing all of our fantastic students and their accomplishments this year, and that is at Chopticon High School. The following Thursday, we have an entire evening dedicated to recognizing all of our staff members. We'll be recognizing several of our staff members tonight, but we'll have that evening to recognize all of them in totem. It's a really wonderful time of year. So if you're looking for something to do, there's plays every single weekend from now till the end of the school year. I can tell you they are exceptional. Our artists are alive and well. They perform well on a stage. They perform well in competitions with astronomical calculations, and they certainly have incredible demonstrated talent in the artwork they create. So I think that they're all here for those recognitions. So with that, I'm going to conclude. Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Burrows may take the stage, so to speak.
Yes. Had I a spotlight, sir, I would.
We could all get our camera phones out.
We could all.
Kinda put the flashlights on.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Smith. Tonight, we recognize those students whose artwork was selected to appear in the third quarter Superintendent's Art Gallery. Thank you, Dr. Marr. Throughout the course of the school year, each school will submit a piece of art to be displayed either here in the boardroom or in the hall leading to Dr. Smith's office. At the end of every quarter, we recognize the selected student artists and present them with their works. Students, when your name is called, please come forward to receive a certificate and remain until everyone's name has been called. After, there will be an opportunity for photographs with your artwork. Dr. Smith, if you could please join me. At this time, we would like to recognize from Lexington Park Elementary School, Sophia Drake. From Chopticon High School, Amber Finelli. From Dinard Elementary School, Ashley George.
Good, because actually, if you didn't show up, I was going to keep your artwork. Congratulations, well done. Hold this up, and then come right over here and stand right there. Perfect. Well done.
From Oakville Elementary School, Eden Gill. From Leonardtown Middle School, Lauren LeBose. From Esperanza Middle School, Alexis Sater. And from the Chesapeake Public Charter School, Annabelle Wick.
So thank you, artists. Thank you for sharing your artwork with us. So pretty much at the end of every quarter, I give the same little spiel, the little speech about the fact that it is these incredible artists, their artwork that really lightens up our walls and our halls and reminds us of exactly what incredible kids we get to work with every single day. So as a change in pace, this time what I said before we started, that if anybody would like to say anything, to come up right here and say something impromptu, off the cuff, just whatever you're thinking about, this is the time to do it. So does anybody want to do that? Are you going to scream though? No. Okay, then come on over here, please. Come on. The mic is yours.
Okay. I would like to thank my mom and dad for the inspiration of my art, and my sister and my dog Susie. She inspired me for the shark. She inspired the shark. And most of all, I would like to thank Miss Melsitich, my teacher, right there.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, so I think at this point, we're going to take a little break.
Yes.
We're going to have our official photographer come out and take pictures of you, but then also, parents, you're more than welcome to come up, take pictures, move them around, do whatever you need to do, and then you can grab your artwork and you can then take it with you. It's yours to keep forever and forever. I like that. That was fun.
Well, good evening. It is my distinct honor and privilege to be here tonight to share our collective appreciation for those who work with our students every day. Tonight, the Board of Education recognizes the upcoming Teacher Appreciation Week, which is held May 7th through 11th. As Fred Rogers said, anyone who does anything to help a child in his life is a hero to me. So tonight, we thank all of our heroes. Our gratitude for our teachers, our administrators, and our support staff is what brings us here tonight. And how appropriate that we should lead this recognition today on Administrative Professionals Day, where we thank those important staff members for their work in supporting our schools and our students. To reflect this, the Board of Education presents resolutions proclaiming Teacher Appreciation Week to the following individuals, and I ask that they come forward. These individuals represent the quality and commitment of our educators and employees in St. Mary's County. So I'm going to ask Dr. Smith to join us up here. And as I call you, please join us up here. We will have a copy of the proclamation that Dr. Smith will read for you in a moment for you to take as well. Our Maryland State Department of Education Teacher of the Year representative, Ms. Sarah Lorick, music teacher at Chaptacon High School.
You have to stay up here for the entire time. You're the first, you have to stay all the way to the end.
This year's Washington Post Teacher of the Year representative, Ms. Heather Husk, social studies teacher from Leonardtown Middle School. Our Washington Post Principal of the Year representative, Ms. Beth Ramsey, principal of Captain Walter Francis School Elementary. And this year we have two Education Support Professionals of the Year. Ms. Patricia Herr, paraprofessional from George Washington Carver Elementary. And Ms. Heather Russell, secretary from Chaptacon High School. This year, we introduce a new recognition in partnership with SMASA, our Leaders of Excellence, and we have two this year. Mr. Chuck Dunbar, Assistant Principal from Great Mills High School. And Ms. Becky Loker, Supervisor of Instruction for Elementary Mathematics. To express our ongoing thanks to our exceptional staff, Dr. Smith will read a resolution recognizing Teacher Appreciation Week. Before he does, though, I'd like to thank Mr. Romaine Williams and the Educational Systems Federal Credit Union for their ongoing support. They have joined us tonight with a gift basket for our celebrated staff to show their appreciation. Thank you.
And thank you very much to the Education Federal Credit Union to come out and give everybody a basket. Now, they were, the only thing that you're holding tonight is the resolution signed by all of us. The event next week is the very official, you'll get a major award. It's really quite wonderful. This is just appreciation tonight. This is just recognition and public appreciation. So, all of you read with me, make sure I get it right. Several of you will know if I don't. Whereas the staff of St. Mary's County Public Schools takes great pride in delivering exceptional instruction to almost 18,000 students. And whereas teachers, support staff, and administrators all play a vital role in expanding students' minds to ideas, knowledge, and dreams for the future. And whereas teachers keep American democracy alive by laying the foundation for good citizenship. And whereas educators mold students of diverse backgrounds to become productive citizens that will shape the future of our great country. And whereas educational support professionals contribute in various ways to the success of students, teachers, and the community. And whereas administrators work diligently to help students and teachers excel, and their leadership and hard work are essential to the success of the schools and communities. And whereas support staff, teachers, and administrators are exceptionally dedicated and committed to providing high-quality educational opportunities to our students, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of St. Mary's County recognizes this week of May 6th through the 12th, 2018 as Teacher Appreciation Week, and urges all citizens of St. Mary's County to take time to honor those who helped to make our school system great. Signed this 25th day of April 2018. Congratulations to all of you. And not to put anybody on the spot, but I did ask Ms. Lorick if she might say a word or two to all of us tonight. No pressure. No pressure.
Be happy to.
It'll be great.
Sure. Yeah. I'm really humbled and honored to have been recognized by both the Chopticon community and by the entire SMCPS population for my work as choral director for Chopticon High School and lead teacher for the Academy of Visual and Performing Arts. This is a little snippet from an article that I wrote, a portion for the Enterprise that went out today. But what I mentioned was that educators rarely enter the teaching profession expecting to be recognized for their accomplishments. We understand that this job is filled with smaller intrinsic moments when students find connections and success in their learning. So being selected as the Teacher of the Year for St. Mary's County Public Schools is an amazing opportunity to represent the SMCPS community with pride and honor, celebrating the importance of public school education. But I'm super biased because of Chopticon, and I would like to take just a moment to speak a little bit and share about Chopticon, as we have lots of Chopticon representatives, so
Yeah.
Chopticon alum and Chopticon staff up here. So when I arrived at Chopticon 11 years ago, I noticed immediately that there was a deep and rich culture of school pride from the administration, staff, and students. I felt an instant connection and calling to continue on this path of integrity and community, even making those ideals part of the Chopticon Choir's mission statement. The addition of the Academy of Visual and Performing Arts program at Chopticon has only continued to celebrate this lineage, and as we are proud to be graduating our first cohort this school year. When the choral ensembles are out performing in the community or throughout the state of Maryland, there is always a connection back to our Chopticon roots. It could be a former Peace Piper alum making music professionally, or a parent reminiscing fondly about their school days in good old downtown Morganza. No matter the connection, the memories are always filled with positivity and support for the growth of our educational programs. So I want to thank the school board and the SMCPS community for selecting us and honoring us for the work that we do. We understand fully that we are representing a whole lot of staff members, and we take that to heart. So thank you very much.
And your students in particular, they did such a lovely job at the budget. They really spoke from the heart and demonstrated why we do what we do. So just thank you very much. So at this time, let's take a break. We'll all get you in, so don't go. You all get you in the center. The board will wrap around you, and we'll get a great picture. All right, great. Let's do that. Yes.
SMECO Math Challenge for the elementary schools every year, and we had, I think we had, 18 or 19 schools participating? 19. During the, and for those of you who don't know, the kids get there about 8:30, and they do math problems until like 11 o'clock, and then they score. Unfortunately, our internet, the wireless network crashed at Leonardtown Middle School. So poor Mrs. Loker had to stand in front of all of the children and all of the parents that had gathered to hear what the results were, to tell them that we might not have scores that day. So grace under pressure clearly was Mrs. Loker at that time. And the IT personnel that came in and started working, Jason in there at like dark 30 to try and get it so the kids could know where they stood on the way out, because they've been practicing since January on math problems. So by right, so by the grace of the IT gods, the system came up and they were able to score it, and we were only delayed maybe about 20 minutes. So I just wanted to say thank you. I did not mention my board report, but it was, everyone really pulled together, and that was a team effort. It truly was. So thank you.
Thank you for letting us be part of the lightning round, and great fun.
So
It's a good thing the answers are printed on the page.
all right, Megan Doran, there you are. School Lunch Hero Day and School Nutrition Employee Week.
Good evening, everyone. We are very excited to kick off School Nutrition Appreciation Week on Friday, May 4th with School Lunch Hero Day. And then we will follow the celebration the following week from the 7th through the 11th. These ladies and gentlemen in the food nutrition department do an amazing job. They serve over 7,000 students a day for lunch. They also serve around 5,000 students for breakfast every day. And not only do they serve breakfast and lunch, but they do after-school programs, snack programs, supper programs, summer programs. They participate in community events. They do farm to school. We also had a culinary boot camp last summer where many of our ladies participated in, which was all on their own time. We also had 2 members of our staff this year compete at a state level at our state conference, the Farm to Tray competition, and they took 2nd place in that. So I'm very proud of our entire staff and everything that they do to serve our students every day. Not only do they have to deal with food allergies and parent complaints and everything that they go through on a daily basis, but they also know their students. They know each kid as they come through the line. If anyone gets the opportunity to go watch school lunch service one day and just stand there with the ladies at the cash register, that will identify each student by name as they come through. Not only do they do that, but the ladies serving the line know, oh, Johnny doesn't like sauce on his meatballs, so I'm going to keep some aside, so he doesn't have to have that. And he doesn't like gravy on his Salisbury steak, so we're going to keep some out of the gravy just for them. They do these things every day. They know their students, they know their likes, their dislikes, and they make sure that the kids get what they want and what they need to be able to learn throughout the day. So I'm very pleased that we have some of our staff members here. We have Margaret Brent Middle School, Carver Elementary School, Leonardtown High School, and White Marsh. So Dr. Smith, if you would come up. Yes. And ladies, if you would please join us up here.
Thank you all.
This is our littlest, sir.
Yeah.
Our future members.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you so much for everything that you do every single day for our kids. It really is, as Ms. Doran said, you are a friendly face in the middle of their day. You know them well. For many of these students, especially like at the elementary level, you have known them from this tall to this tall. That really is something that's exceptionally important to kids every single day. So just thank you. So with that, I'm going to read the resolution. Whereas nutritious meals are an essential part of the school day and the school food service operation by virtue of the service provided to students and staff is an integral part of the educational environment of St. Mary's County Public Schools. And whereas the staff of St. Mary's County Public Schools Department of Food and Nutrition Services is committed to promoting wellness and providing healthful, nutritious meals to St. Mary's County Public Schools students. And whereas the men and women who prepare and serve school meals help nurture the children of St. Mary's County Public Schools throughout their daily interaction and support. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of St. Mary's County does hereby proclaim Friday, May 4th, 2018 as School Lunch Hero Day and the week of May 7th through May 11th, 2018 as School Nutrition Employee Appreciation Week in St. Mary's County Public Schools. All school staff and students are encouraged to express their deep appreciation to these valuable employees and commend their good work on behalf of our children. Signed the 25th day of April 2018 by the board members and myself. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In the back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You were so good. You were just so good. So you want to take a moment and we'll do the whole, everybody gather together? All right. We're back out again.
The day first.
Yep.
In order to keep consistency, I'm just going to speak from up here, if that's okay, rather than.
Part of wellness.
Excellent. Good evening, Board of Ed members. Good evening, Dr. Smith. Good evening. My name's Denise Mandis, Supervisor of Library Media, and I'm here tonight to really give well-deserved accolades to our media team. April is National School Library Month, where we celebrate the good work that our team does, both here in St. Mary's County, but also statewide and nationally. So this year's theme, last year the theme revolved around superpowers. This year's theme is making connections at your school library. The American Association of School Librarians just rolled out their new national standards, which we have been busy unpacking. And April's, as School Library Month, it is really a time to recognize that school library programs are integral. They're integral for students, they're integral for staff, and they're integral for our community as a whole. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes of your time to celebrate the great work that our team does. This is a quick video, and I'm hoping that this is going to play. If I click play, this is Jason Reynolds, and some of us had the opportunity to meet him back in November at the AASL conference. But he speaks on, and it's not going to work, so I'm going to go over here. But he speaks to, thank you, the impact that school libraries had on him. Or not. I'm gonna try it this way. It was working earlier.
I'm Jason Reynolds. And
Nope, it's not liking that. Okay, well that was Jason Reynolds. Jason Reynolds talks about how.
Here comes Barrett
Here
to the
comes
rescue.
Barrett. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
Barrett.
okay, Barrett. We're gonna roll with it. Sure. Yeah.
No, we want to hear what
You wanna hear
Jason Reynolds, we heard his voice.
It worked on my test, and you saw me test.
I know. It worked when you were testing it.
Spoke
Let's
nicely.
see.
We'll just move on, and if we,
Okay.
it's really okay.
So
We'll-
Google Jason
He's
Reynolds,
really very brilliant and
Library
a
Month
very eloquent
spokesperson.
speaker.
He's great.
But back to our more important people, our SMCPS library media team here, hard at work. I wanted to take a moment to just provide an overview of some of the things that our team has been doing this year. We are in the final stages of revising our MPAS, which is our media performance and assessment system, with collaborative effort with the team holistically. We have now a system-wide K through 12 scope and sequence for media specialists, which has been based off of the AASL standards. We have continued with an infusion of robotics into the library media curriculum, K through 12. We are super excited about our abundance of maker spaces and exploration stations that are happening within our school system. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out a maker space or a maker activity in one of our schools, please reach out to me or reach out to a media specialist. I'm sure they'd be happy to show you. But it really encourages that design thinking, engineering design principles. We have just completed a pilot of professional development for AASL standards. We unpacked the new standards kind of in a hybrid model of professional development, but I thought it was a great opportunity for us to really have some face time that for teachers in any domain it's difficult to have, and it was really valuable. A lot of our media specialists have experience presenting both at state conferences and national conferences as well. So they are out in the state and national community representing St. Mary's County Public Schools well. And we are all very excited about our continued encouragement of our media specialists to become members of MASL, which is the Maryland Association of School Librarians. Over half of our media specialists, library media specialists, are members on their own accord and usually out of their own pocket, so that they stay up to date, current with things that are going on in our state. Libraries teach technology literacy. Coming up very soon, Leonardtown Middle School and Mrs. Wysokinski, she collaborated with ESNIC once again, and she will be offering her second showing of this documentary, Screenagers. The first showing was to over 500 students and parents. There's another one coming up in early May. It's alarming if you have a child or a grandchild and the prevalence of social media and that device. It's alarming to see the impact that really is having. So it gives some really neat tips and strategies, most of which my own children didn't really like, but for managing those devices. Digital citizenship is also embedded in the AASL standards. We are recognizing this nationally as a need to teach our students and even our staff how to be digital citizens. I just wanted to take a couple moments to also highlight some of the great work that our specific librarians are doing. Mrs. Hazuda at Hollywood Elementary, the woman eats, sleeps, breathes books. And she does. She does book talks and live chats on Twitter, and she brought back my love for Skippy John Jones with this. So, but she hosted Book Madness instead of March Madness. It was March Book Madness, and she had the school vote on their favorite books. And what a fun way to get kids energized in reading. It was amazing. From Mechanicsville Elementary, Mrs. Smith, she actually collaborated with the Charlotte Hall Library and hosted a library spirit night there. So talk about engaging the community partners there. Amazing event with a lot of great turnout. We've been working hard to get coding and robotics in library media, K through 12. We're looking at the K through 12 computer science standards coming down the pike soon, and we're trying to jump ahead of the game here. We have circulating kits that travel amongst our media specialists and other classroom teachers. Things like B-bots, which are amazing for the kids' code right on them. You can teach sequencing. I've seen it used in mathematics lessons as well as in English language arts. The Ozobots get a tad more advanced, and Dash and Dot, if you haven't seen them yet, I mean, you can teach Dash how to play a xylophone, and he can be used in a music class. But our librarian and library media specialists have really embraced these. We've conducted several training sessions that they've come to, and not only have they embraced them, they're taking that knowledge that they gained back to their schools, and they're teaching the teachers. They're showing that this is easy to integrate, that coding K through 12 is something that we all can embrace very easily, because I think sometimes we hear computer science or we hear coding and it gives us a pause, and it really is something we can all embrace. Libraries also teach creativity and problem solving. These students are at Greenview Knolls Elementary under the instruction of Ms. D'Antuono, and they were using BBots and Dash and Dot robots to learn basic coding, problem solving, and collaboration. Here, they were actually coming up with their own coding sequence. They were making their own code. It was just so neat. And if you want to see a bunch of kids get excited really quickly, you bust out the robots, and they are all about it. It is really, truly engaging for them. Students at Dinard Elementary, under the instruction of Mrs. Johnston, who's with us here tonight, are using problem solving and inquiry. And I want to take a moment to specifically give a shout out to Mrs. Johnston. It's her first year in library media, and to say that this woman has embraced her role and gone in with passion and vigor is an understatement. Students over here are using the breakout EDU boxes. If you're familiar with escape rooms, they're like mobile versions of escape rooms where kids have to collaborate and problem solve. Over here, they were working with a Rubik's Cube and looking at algorithms and problem solving together. So media is really that place where creativity and problem solving are fostered. Libraries also teach collaboration and communication. Under Mrs. Hager's instruction, who's also in our audience here this evening, students within the GIS program and global diplomacy classes, they work together to conduct research, thorough academic research, and then presented that research through a podcast channel. So she's utilizing that multimedia component and really giving them some real world skills. I wanted to just thank our media team. It's an amazing group of people, and again, I cannot say enough, if you haven't had the chance to step into one of our school system library media centers, please do so. I would venture to say that any of these people would welcome you on any given day to show you the amazing work that they do. And I'd like to take a moment, Dr. Smith, if you wouldn't mind joining me up here,
Sure.
just to keep consistent
Yes.
in recognition. I would like to also state, last year we had 5 out of 25 nominees, and we are continuing the trend of leading our state. So the Maryland Association of School Librarians, or MASL for short, every year they accept nominees for the Maryland School Librarian of the Year, and the winner will be announced at the Common Ground Conference coming up in Ocean City next month. For 2018, St. Mary's County had 3 out of 12 nominees statewide. The percentage is pretty strong. So we were also the highest represented, again, second year in a row, just saying. So if I could, not that it is,
Well, we are winning.
it is representative, and it is representative of the amazing work that our library media team does. Mrs. Brenda Hager from Leonardtown High School, if you would join us up here, please. Second year in a row nominee. Mrs. Rachel Harmon from Piney Point Elementary School, if you would join us up here, please. And Mrs. April Wathen from George Washington Carver Elementary School, who is a finalist, 1 out of 3 finalists for the final award. So we will find out soon, and again, a second-time nominee. So in closing, in summary, I thought that this quote really kind of summed up my point of the evening, that school libraries are the heart of a school, and teacher librarians really do make them beat. So thank you to you 3 and the hard work that our team does.
Not to put anybody on the spot, but is there anything that you'd like to share? Is there anything?
I will speak for the team.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, I don't need a microphone, and say thank you to Denise for her strong leadership of our
That's-
team. It's been amazing,
yeah.
yeah.
I think
Thank you.
incredible work that's being done. So, all right, so then we're good. This will be the last time we do this. This is the last picture that we take. But could we all, this is good, we're up.
I also want to point out that Michael Blackwell, the director of the St. Mary's County Library System, is here with us this evening as well.
Librarians, bye. All right, okay, so wrap around. We're also recognizing you next. Come on, right here, right in the middle. To the end. When are they going to announce that you won?
Just cut to the
7
chase.
a.m. And we get the news then.
Okay.
Yep.
I look forward to it. That'll be fun.
Looking for a tweet is what you're
Will be,
looking
yes.
for. Yes.
I'd like to add that I think it was a week ago, I'm a member of the Friends of the Libraries, and they have sales at the county fair, and I almost got trampled to death because the first day I was reaching for a couple books and I got blindsided. So you have to enter at your own risk. But, I have to tell you, I loaded up my car with some great books, and it's a great venue if anybody hasn't gone to the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, she's great.
Not the trampoline part, but. Okay, let's see, we have no public hearing tonight, public comment.
Heather Wiseman.
Okay.
Nice try, it's no big deal.
All right, let me read this first here. Let's see, the board welcomes public input on policies and issues affecting our schools. We take this time to listen and consider, but not to comment. This is not the appropriate forum for negative comments or criticisms of individual staff or students. Concerns about individual staff members that cannot be resolved at the level closest to the situation should be directed to the superintendent. We will not permit comments criticizing individual staff or students because it's outside the scope of public comment. Additionally, we sit as an appellate body in both student and employee appeals. We cannot comment on or have prior knowledge of a case that would influence our ability to deliberate. And in order to maintain the ability of the board to render a fair and unbiased decision, comments regarding individual student or personnel issues cannot be presented. Speakers must sign in at the beginning of the meeting. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and you may not yield your time to someone else. And if you have any written statements, please provide them to Kathy, and she can distribute the copies. All right?
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. I have a 7th grader at Margaret Brent Middle School, and next year we'll have 2 students there. I am both saddened and frustrated by the environment I see and hear about at Margaret Brent, by the lost educational and social opportunities that middle school should be about. And the cause of these losses, the blatant disrespect and disruptions by a few students who have become emboldened and whose numbers have grown in an atmosphere lacking discipline, is preventable. But the more parents and teachers that I talk to, the more I realize that this is not a Margaret Brent problem. This is a school system problem. Since you have all heard the complaints and concerns about Margaret Brent before, some of them from me at different forums, I would like to use the remainder of my time here tonight to present some requests or recommendations that other parents and I believe might help to get our schools back to what they used to be. To start, Margaret Brent and every other school in the county needs to be staffed with an administrative team that is able and willing to implement the county's code of conduct to its fullest extent. This would require moving through the steps of the progressive discipline policy in a much more timely and efficient manner than it is now. I would request that all schools have a school improvement team that constantly evaluates all areas of the school, including academics, discipline, and culture, and looks for what honestly needs to be changed. These teams should meet regularly and encourage parents and teachers to attend and provide input. Our county's code of conduct needs to be examined and updated. While there are limitations and guidelines from the state, there is more that we can do within these guidelines to give our schools the ability to provide the best educational environment that we can. Such an update should include something akin to a student's Bill of Rights, and parents and the community in general should have an opportunity to provide feedback on an updated code of conduct. There needs to be a cultural change in the board and superintendent's office regarding suspensions and referrals. As parents, we want the focus to be on having schools that are good, not schools that look good. Suspensions may not do much for the students suspended, but they help the rest of the school. When we do not show what is really happening at our schools through referrals and suspensions, we cannot identify the problems, much less fix them. Finally, I would request that the board and superintendent consider adding accelerated science and social studies options in middle school to accompany the existing math and English opportunities. Students in the accelerated math and English programs are often bored and uninterested in science and social studies because of the slow speed of progress. I realize that these are not easy solutions and in fact might not even be the best solutions, but we need to start somewhere. We need to stop throwing our hands up because money is tight or some parents refuse to do their part. I know the majority of us, from parents to educators to businesses in the community, are invested in our children receiving the best education they can. We all talk a lot about it. We need to do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's see, next item is the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the first item on our action items is Mr. Hartwick with the refurbishment of the track at Chopticon High School.
Scared to get out. Minimize. Yep. I get you down there.
That's right there. Okay.
Good evening, board members. It's been a while. Good to see you all again. We have 3 agenda items tonight. The first 2 are all related to Chopticon High School's stadium track. And so the first 2 are clearly related. But to start off, the first action item is for the actual refurbishment and expansion of the stadium track at Chopticon High School. So by way of background, the Chopticon High School stadium track was last refinished, resurfaced in 2000 as part of the larger CIP project to renovate the school and make addition to the school. Chopticon High School's track only has 6 lanes. And that prohibits Chopticon High School from participating or hosting conference championships. So as we started talking about this project, it was clear it was very important to the school that we try to expand it to 8 lanes. So we looked at that carefully. We had a civil engineer look at it with us, and we felt that it could be done. Now, the larger context of this is we received funding in 2017 from the local CIP for the refurbishment of both Great Mills High School and the Chopticon High School track. Great Mills High School was completed in 2017, and several years earlier we had done Leonardtown High School in 2014. So Chopticon High School is the last of the 3 tracks. Now, the issue with expanding the track is not so much the physical nature of expanding the track. It is more that we're adding impervious surface to the area, and anything over 5,000 square feet requires stormwater management. The site around the track is very constrained. We looked at possibilities there, but looking at other options, we felt that the student parking lot, which is kind of above the athletic facilities and adjacent to the auditorium, represented probably the best place for us and probably more environmentally effective to place the stormwater management facility. So right off the bat, we wanted to make sure that the Maryland Department of Environment was good with this concept, that the stormwater management facility would be separated physically from the stadium track. They concurred with that and accepted that concept. So we continued with design. The design has been done by Jonathan Blasco Engineering. But in kind of looking at the different expertise involved here, the stadium tracks are a certain level of expertise. Stormwater management facilities, when they're done well, is another level of expertise. So we thought it most judicious to basically do separate but concurrent contracts. And so that's how we've organized the work. So in terms of procurement, the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance, or NCPA, of which St. Mary's County is a member, has a contract 0802 specifically for tracks and tennis courts, and this contract has been used extensively by other LEAs in Maryland. Most recently, Calvert County Public Schools used it for their resurfacing of Patuxent High School. Of course, we have used it previously for both Great Mills and Leonardtown High School with success. So the awardee in our area is American Tennis Courts. Again, we know them well because they've done a number of tennis courts as well, all 3 high school tennis courts and tennis courts at Esperanza Middle School. This particular contract is extended through December 31st of 2018. The unit prices that we've shared with you have not changed since the year 2016. And we gave you the background and the backup that their total proposal was $366,245.62. So it's important to understand the scope of work. There's a lot that goes into these projects, and so we've highlighted what those are stripping the existing rubber track surface, obviously excavating the area for the 2 additional lanes and adding the stone base. We're gonna mill the 2 feet of the existing asphalt as it joins the new lanes. And the reason we want to do that is because we're going to add a 2-inch base course over where we've milled, and then on top of that, we're going to asphalt another 2 inches for the track, and that kind of alleviates the problem with having a strict cold joint right where the new meets the old. We're going to be using what they call the PlexiTrack system. This is a system that we have used at Leonardtown High School and Great Mills, and is predominantly used by high schools in Maryland. The great thing about this system is, and the life expectancy of this system is about 15 years. But the great thing about it is that we can come back and add additional rubber base and then the top coating without stripping the old system off. So that addition is compatible with what the existing condition will be. And so the cost of that is around $40,000. So you see the huge difference in looking at stripping off and doing all that kind of work. And there's some other things. At Chopticon High School, we do have to replace all the fencing because we're moving it out. We hope to start this work at the end of May. It does have to be coordinated with Chopticon High School because the athletic department is planning on reseeding, and it should be underway, with Bermuda, the reseeding, which is a little different but can be done, and I like it better. So we need to make sure that germinates before we start doing some of this stuff. So, but nevertheless, I'm confident that we will be completed by the start of 2019 school year, as we have been successful in doing on the previous 2 high schools. So I gave you a funding summary. So going back to what the total FY 2017 funding was for Great Mills High School and Chopticon, is $822,000. The Great Mills High School actual costs were $323,706. We have encumbered and expended $12,800 for the civil design of the stormwater management at Chopticon High School, but I wanted to include that. So that gives us a current balance of just over $485,000. So if we look at the proposal from American Tennis Courts of $366,000 plus, and we're going to be asking your authorization for a $25,000 construction contingency. That's the same amount that we have requested on other projects. There's still a possibility that we will find some localized failing of asphalt, and that's the reason it's there. But I will tell you that we have made very little use of that construction contingency on previous projects at Great Mills and Leonardtown High School. So take all those expenses against the current balance, that leaves just over $94,000 for the stormwater management, which will be our second agenda item. So our recommendation to you is to allow us to use the NCPA contract and to approve a $25,000 construction contingency.
Robert, do you have any questions?
I just have one question. So I know graduation practice will be done by May 30th, but I didn't know if there were any other summer activities that might interfere with.
Yeah, and we'll coordinate it. Sometimes they do use the field for commencement practices.
Yeah.
And that was the case at Great Mills High School, but we were able to work around it.
Okay. Well, are there any other summer? No.
There are no activities that we know of during the summer. And this has all been coordinated with the activities director at Chopticon High School.
Yeah, Mr. Sampson.
Yeah, so I know no other activities, but what about like football, like starting up, will they just go to another area until, the field is reseeded and?
Yes. Now, I will tell you that, I think it was Leonardtown High School, maybe in the last year or the year before, reseeded, but they didn't reseed, they sprigged. And they were able to work with the football practices in mid-August, so.
Okay. The other question I have is, I know you said a potential for the asphalt or something. Is there any other issues that the company says they might, anticipate?
No, we've talked a lot about this because I get very nervous.
Okay. I don't know if say, well,
no,
we've seen this type of
that's-
thing happen before, just kind of giving you some scenarios.
On very rare occasion, they will get into a situation where the asphalt basically is completely filled.
Okay.
We really don't see that on the surfaces that we now have. And we're using a technique that avoids the problem that we had at Leonardtown High School, where we milled all the asphalt by 2 inches and found that underlying asphalt was completely dehydrated, which causes problem in the adhesion of the system. And so we're also using a paving fabric between the base sheet and the final layer of asphalt to ensure that, or kind of minimize any telegraphing of any issues between the lower asphalt and the upper asphalt.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hartwick, I noticed the design is only 12, am I reading this right? $12,000? That's pretty low for design, isn't it?
It is. Jonathan Blasco started out on his own from Mahaffey. You may know him from Mahaffey Associates. He doesn't have much overhead. He did the Phase 3 Esperanza erosion control.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it is a very good number, no question about it.
Well, that's good. It'll keep them happy. The other question I have, and it's really not germane to what you're asking, but I'm thinking of other alternate designs and tracks, not using asphalt, using an impervious material where you could have some type of granular substrate, and you'd use capillary action to drain. Have you ever considered that type of design on any of your tracks?
I've considered traditional concrete, and you can get concrete in a porous concrete. You can also get asphalt as porous asphalt, believe it or not. I really think it's best to minimize the water flowing through the various substrates with freeze and thaw.
Right.
It's better just to run it off and drain it off the tracks.
Does is it Plexitrack? Is that the supplier? Did they provide the design? Do they give any specifications at all?
Yes. Yeah,
So-
no, that's a total system, and they do have specifications on that.
So it's a turnkey type of.
It is very much a
Delivery.
turnkey, absolutely.
Okay. Well, it sounds great. Thank you. That's all I have.
I don't have any questions. Thank you very much. Mr.
No
Walsh?
questions, thank you.
You know that I'm really happy that we're moving to 8 lanes at Chopticon. And this is something you and I have had a conversation about for a number of years. It will really open them up for a great many more opportunities. Leonardtown next week is hosting a quad meet that Chopticon would not be able to handle at this point in time. So how did the track surface at Great Mills High School turn out? Were there any problems like there were at Leonardtown, or did it?
There were no problems. I mean, Miss Henley would have taught me. But no, I know of no problem.
That's great.
And the problem at Leonardtown High School was very localized to the way the existing track drained off.
Well, thank you for continuing to pursue this and for making it possible for Chopticon to be as competitive as the other two high schools are. So thank you very much.
May I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the use of National Cooperative Alliance Contract, NCPA 0802, in the amount of $366,245.62 to American Tennis Court Incorporated for the refurbishment and expansion of the stadium track at Chopticon High School. The board further authorizes a construction contingency of $25,000.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And you can go right into now the stormwater management.
All right, so this is the second action item that is obviously related to Chopticon High School and addresses the need for stormwater management. I won't iterate this too much, but we talked about moving from 6 to 8, the added impervious surface, and the fact that the area around the track is limited, especially when they expand the track out to 8 lane. So we did look at alternative, and this is the alternative location that we selected. It's hard to see, but the auditorium is here. Oh, I can't see that. Let's see. Where's my, seeing the pointer. Well, anyway.
Don't worry, you have Dave Howard, he's coming to
What's
help
the
you.
pointer? Where is it? Oh, did I not hit?
Yeah, what is it?
I don't know.
Anything
I don't know what I did.
From the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Great.
I did again. That's what it really got me.
Let's go with this then. Let's speed it up right now. We'll get you going right now.
Should I just drop out?
I think that'll do it. All right, just go ahead and write with it now. We'll figure it out.
Okay, and then if I do want to get, okay, there's the pointer. All right, well, let me move on to the
There we go.
third slide. So here's the outline of the auditorium. This area is the student parking. You'll see the natural drainage area that we're able to utilize, and the athletic fields are down in this area. And what we're proposing is what's called a microbial-retention system. And this is a graphic that shows the concept of microbial retention, where you basically have plant material that help take up the pollutants. It has a deep layer of plant mix or media, followed by additional gravel that works as a sump, and then you have an under drain to drain that area. So there's some level of percolation. The mulch on top and the planting media bind to heavy metals and other pollutants, and so that's why they're basically as effective as they are.
Can I ask a question before you move on from this
Sure.
slide? And I'll readily admit this is going to be a dumb question. Where you show on the left side the student parking and the area that you have in bold outline, is that going to is that just draining down to
Yes,
the lower
that-
area?
this is
It's-
just something you have to do to just show the specific drainage pattern into the stormwater management microbial retention is right here.
So the parking lot itself will remain intact?
Yes.
It's just that the,
Exactly, and that's a great point, because we don't have to do a lot of work on the parking lot in order to get the water to flow into the stormwater management.
it
So
just
that
is
was-
naturally draining in that direction, so this is the perfect place where it
Exactly.
is sort of
Exactly.
down to the left lower part of the screen.
Correct.
Great, okay,
Yep.
got it.
The sheet flow that's going down the parking lot, is there any type of catch basin at all that,
No catch basin, it's all sheet flow.
it's all sheet flow, okay?
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about erosion at all?
No,
You know?
no,
with
I don't,
Water coming off the pavement? into
no,
the
there's
retention?
no sign of existing erosion there. And then as we build this stormwater management, we will be using stabilization cloth to make sure that there is no erosion. But we're not, and that's a good question, because we're not condensing the flow so you get channelization, which is
Right.
another thing you don't wanna do.
Right, that's kinda where I was going.
Great question. So for the procurement for this, we felt there were enough vendors available. So we just went, was a straight, to the construction delivery method is a straight competitive seal bid, invitation to bid. So as we always do, we advertise on email and marketplace. On March 22nd, we also, so you know, we advertise on our own webpage. So we got a tremendous response from vendors on this. I think it was over 905 received the notification. But again, that's not just contractors, it's vendors, it's anybody who thinks they might have a role in this. 12 firms requested the bidding document, paid for the bidding document. And key for the competitive sealed bid was we required bid security because we knew it was gonna be over 50,000. And we also require a letter of surety as added insurance that performance and labor and material bonds will be provided. So 7 bids were submitted on April 12th. Unfortunately, 3 bidders failed to provide the mandatory letter of surety. As a consequence, 3 bids were deemed non-responsive at the time. We notified all 3 in writing. And there has been we have a formal bid protest, and there have been no bid protest within the stated time. The lowest bid was submitted by Stormwater Maintenance LLC in the amount of $72,250. Because this was an invitation to bid, I had to read the numbers. I will tell you that's the lowest number provided.
Was it substantially lower, or was it?
No, there was, I'll just give you an order of magnitude. 2 were a little bit higher, probably greater than 30%, but the numbers were all over the map, as you'll see. But the second low bidder that was non-responsive only had a delta of about $5,000.
Yeah, okay. The reason I'm asking is, I've seen a high-rise building where a contractor forgot a floor. And it was very obvious when he put the bid in, that the bid was substantially lower than the other bids. And we gave him a chance to change the bid. It was just an honest error, but that was the reason behind my
I try
question.
to avoid all that. But, so the lowest responsive bid was from Stormwater Maintenance LLC. They're based in Hunt Valley, Maryland. And this is an intriguing firm. They do specialize in the whole gamut of stormwater management. They have a design side, they do the construction, and they also maintain facilities. They've done similar projects for Howard County, City of College Park. They do a lot of work in Prince George's County. Stormwater maintenance is known to both civil engineers that we often use, Jonathan Blasco, and more importantly, Soltez was in their Landam office, has done many, many, many projects with them, and they highlighted their expertise and their thoroughness in the execution of their work. So, a very high recommendation. They have a bonding capacity of $10 million, pretty high for this kind of firm, and they have an A rating from AM Best. We did sit down to make sure that they had everything covered, they felt good with their price, no hesitation in honoring that price. So we'll just pick up with the funding source. So the available balance after the stadium track is just over $94,000. I'll show you the responsive bidders, and you see there is quite a range there. Quite a range. So we feel confident that stormwater maintenance is a responsive and responsible bid at $72,250. I talked to them about contingency. I didn't tell them the exact amount, but I believe $15,000 is a reasonable amount for the scope of work here. So that brings it subtotal of just over $87,000, resulting in a small balance of close to $7,000 if we use the full contingency. So we have sufficient funds to award. So our recommendation is, in summary, to reject the 3 non-responsive bids, award the contract as Stormwater Maintenance LLC, and to approve a construction contingency of $15,000.
Just have one question. So I was just curious, is it normal to have such a wide range when you're working with these projects for the bidders?
I would say for this kind of project, it was a little surprising. I guess my priority is to make sure the low bidder is responsible, understands the project, and is a good number.
You may have said this, have we worked with them in the past? And
I have not worked with stormwater management. In fact, I'm going to go back one, refresh my memory. Locust Lane, we have worked with. They were high on the, quite a bit higher on the 3rd phase of the Esperanza soil erosion. Bourne Environmental, I've never worked with. Rainbow, I can get some crazy numbers with them. So I don't know if, we were very clear in the pre-construction meeting, we were very clear in the documents that the sediment and erosion control for the track was going to be handled by the track contractor. That's not a lot of money. I wouldn't explain all of this, but I wonder if on some level they had some misunderstanding what the specific scope was. But I think we did everything we needed to do to make that clear.
thank you.
I would just add that some contractors present what they call a courtesy bid. They really don't have any intention of winning the contract, but as a courtesy, they'll issue a high number without any expectation of winning the contract. And I won't go into the reasons why, but on large companies where they have enormous bonding requirements, you might be building 5 or 10 buildings. They may have the capability of doing it, but they're stretched on their bonding authority, so they'll submit a courtesy bid knowing they're not going to win it.
That's a great point, and the contractors are always making a judgment call on which projects they want to take, what their highest priorities are, and then there's usually a second priority. So I think that plays into it as well.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions, thank you.
I don't have any questions either, thank you.
Very good, thank you very much.
You already answered mine, thank you.
Okay. with that, may I have a motion for this action item on stormwater management?
I move that the Board of Education reject the bids of Mona Construction, Old Line Construction, and Butcher Excavating as non-responsive. The board approves the contract award of SMCPS 2018-06 DSS DC for the construction of a stormwater management facility at Chapticon High School to Stormwater Maintenance LLC in the amount of $72,250, and further authorizes a construction contingency of $15,000.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And one more for Mr. Hartwick with the warehouse building.
Yes, all right, we've been looking forward to this action item.
We all.
You know, the purpose of this is to award a design build for the warehouse for the Division of Supporting Services. Just again, as a little background, the existing warehouse and repair shops on site was constructed in 2000. We have really outgrown that facility. Storage is both in the main building and it's in some of the modular units. It's extremely tight. And then add to that the intention and desire to relocate the Department of Information Technology to a more central location adds the requirements of ITS. And I think the other issue is this project allows us to consolidate the way that the warehouse is being used and allocated and address the warehouse needs of multiple DSS departments. So our initial concept was for a 2,700 square foot warehouse was a mezzanine level. And we met with the potential users of the warehouse space, and we really talked to them about what their shelving needs were, what their short-term storage space was needed for quickly unpacking and distributing out to the schools. And based on that, we did not see that there was a high need for very tall pallet racks like you see at Lowe's. Their storage needs were different than that. They really wanted more floor space, so literally you could move one or two pallets in, sit on the floor, you can move in all those laptop carts that we get at one time, a lot of stuff that's at ITS at Bethune is in the hallways. So it just kind of gets it into a single area. So with that, we revised the concept, eliminating the mezzanine. The mezzanine is good for some things, but not all things. And we decreased the height of the warehouse from this higher bay of the existing of about 20 feet down to 14,000 feet. And we did that anytime you lessen the steel in a metal building, it lessens the cost. So we've 3,600 works for the way we want to use the warehouse, and it works within the budget. So the way we have configured it is that the departments of ITS and maintenance will share the new warehouse space. There will be a dividing wall for security reasons between the two. Security is a high priority, so access controls and cameras will be fully integrated into the new warehouse as part of this project. And by getting maintenance and consolidating things, we open up about 800 square feet for the Department of Operation. So this is just a little concept. Some of this you've seen because we showed it to the county commissioners, but it's again real hard to, let me pull this up. So here's the main building at DSS with all the offices. The existing warehouse, I didn't show it here unfortunately, but it's pretty much off this line going in that direction. We're going to separate the new from the old for about 20 feet to avoid a sanitary sewer manhole and line. also allows us to keep the existing bus washing station in place. And then finally, it gives us 20 feet of fire separation, which has impact on fire codes. So, but now this area is currently used for bus parking. So we're creating a new bus parking area down below, adjacent to the modular complex that you see here. The demolition contract was recently bid, came in at a very favorable price, so we'll be starting that demolition. So that'll be the first thing we do. We'll do the demo, separate contract, and then we'll move on the warehouse. If you approve it today, if you approve it today, this project can be fast-tracked with the manufacturer, and we could have all the steel on site by mid-July. And it's going to go up really quick. We'll do all the prep work ahead of time. And this just gives, that's just an elevation I drew to give everybody a concept. Because when you do a design build, you want to give them as much information as you can, so the price that you get back is apples to apples. So, and we think we did that. Okay, so the procurement on this, we decided to go with a request for proposal. And this is a new construction delivery method to us, but well used in the state as a design build, because this is so specialized that it makes the most sense to take advantage of that expertise than starting from scratch. So, and the request for proposal allows us to structure it in a way, and I'll come back to that in a minute. So it was also advertised on email marketplace on March 20th. And in the request for proposal, we asked really for two separate things. We asked for technical information in a separate envelope and price proposal. And we said very clearly in the bid document, if your technical proposal doesn't meet the minimum standard, then we're going to say that's non-responsive, and basically return the price proposal to you unopened and unevaluated. But the technical proposal was based strictly on a pass-fail basis, based on the contractor's experience with pre-engineered metal building. I wanted to make sure that they had really reached out to consultants, design consultants, and subcontractors, so I knew the price would be solid. We required surety requirements up front, because I wanted to know the financial standing of the firm before I opened prices. And then we also required for this a mandatory site visit, because so much of it depends on existing field conditions. So we had 12 firms request the proposal documents. 6 firms ended up submitting technical and price proposals. 3 firms had insufficient experience or did not submit a letter of surety with their technical proposal. So we did declare those as non-responsive and notified them in writing, and returned their price proposals unopened, unevaluated. Again, the protest period is over. We received no protest on that determination. So 3 firms met the technical proposal requirements and had their price proposals evaluated. Just as clarification, the price proposal included both design fees. We wanted to break that out, design fees and the construction price. Dennis Anderson Construction Corporation submitted the lowest total price of $271,000. Dennis Anderson is well known to us for his work with St. Mary's County Public Schools. They currently hold one of the job order contract, but beyond that, they have extensive experience with pre-engineered building. One of those was a pre-engineered building for the Department of Public Works and Transportation for St. Mary's County. The lead consultant is JF, and it's pronounced Yoakum. That firm will provide both architectural and structural services. The manufacturer of the pre-engineered building is one of the country's largest, and that's American Building Company, so a very reputable company. So in terms of this financial summary, the overall budget, or funding, I should say, funding for the DSS facility modifications and warehouse is just over $2 million. You see that the warehouse proposers, Dennis Anderson and W.M. Davis, were really quite close. The difference was $6,000 in the design fee, with Yoakum being the lowest, and then the construction cost slightly higher than what Dennis had. And Wycliffe, again, a firm we've never worked with before. We talked to them. They just plain missed us. There's really no explanation for that. That's just kind of out of the ballpark. But I feel very good about the first two. So we have allocated $300,000 for the warehouse out of that $2 million. So using Dennis Anderson's bid of $271,000, on this we're going to ask for construction contingency of $20,000, brings a subtotal of $291,000, resulting in a small balance on the warehouse allocation of $9,000. Of course, if we don't use it for the warehouse, we will use it for other aspects of the DSS facility.
No questions. I know this has been an ongoing conversation, and I am glad that it's finally getting done. So,
Mr. Davis?
Is the building particularly unique to our needs? I know you mentioned you got you've lowered the height of the building, but is there a way of buying a pre-engineering building that's basically already designed and you can get a better price, or do you have to have a design that's unique for your requirements?
These are all kind of components. They don't stock these, so I can't say that there's kind of an off-the-shelf kind of solution that might have been less expensive. I mean, we did go through and lay out all the shelving, electrical, data, all those things that make it specific to us. And then
then you're telling me that the design has got to be generated by you and not the supplier.
Well, I think what was important for me was to establish a conceptual design. If Mr. Yoakum comes back and says, you know what, if you lower it another foot, then that would save you $5,000, I might be willing to do that, because the height really isn't that important to me. So those are and I also want the architect to do a full code analysis and those kinds of things. So that's the role there. But in terms of the structural steel and how the metal panels go together, that's all pretty much from the manufacturer. I will note that I wanted a long life on the metal roof, so I asked for a standing seam roof, which isn't typical, not always typical.
Right.
And then we did not allow them to shave. There's a provision in the code that for essentially a non-occupied building like this, you can shave the steel a little bit. We said no. I mean, a couple of years ago, even in our area, we had metal buildings roof collapse. Well, we're just not. I don't want to take that chance.
You need snow load requirements.
Right, and we don't know what's going to happen in 10 years, or what you might want to hang from the steel. So anyway, those are some of the considerations we went through.
Now, this building is gonna be on slab on grade?
Well, they'll cut out, it's gonna be over the existing, it's gonna be in the area of the existing asphalt, so they will cut out the asphalt, put down a stone base and then and the foundation. And then it will actually, the slab, there will be a slab, but that slab will be about 3 inches higher than the finished grade of the surrounding asphalt.
Right.
So we don't get any possibility of water running into the building.
And because of load requirements, is a slab, it's gonna be what, 6, 8 inches of concrete?
6 inches.
6 inches of concrete.
6 inches of reinforced concrete.
Now, the design build, I've had bad luck with design build.
You have.
But I admit I got a prejudice. I haven't seen a design build in 40 years that save money. They save time.
Yeah.
They're wonderful for
Yeah.
fast track jobs, but design bid build is, in my opinion, the way to go if time is not an issue, because the contract documents are very specific, the design drawings and the specifications, there's very little room for error, where in a design build, it can be an invitation for change orders. I understand you're only talking 2,700 square feet, right?
3,600.
36, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the original
Change.
was 27,
Originally
we
27,
upped it to
we did up to
36.
Okay, you moved up to 36, so your cost per square foot,
$75 a square foot.
yeah, okay, and, but that's turnkey, that's everything, design, everything?
Yes.
Okay. Now, that seems a little high to me.
75?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's heated, I assume insulated and heated, the building?
It is heated. It is insulated. Yep.
Okay, that's really all I have.
Yeah.
Questions. Thank you very much.
I have no questions, thank you.
We've had a need for additional warehouse space, and this provides the opportunity for that. I like the access control and the cameras for the new warehouse, so you can monitor what's going on. And also, the company meets the background, experience, and the cost is within the range that we're looking for. So what exactly is the life expectancy of this building?
Yeah, I'd probably say it's in the 25 to 30 years. It's a metal building. We did, this is another note on kind of designing it for ourselves. We did include one expandable wall, so we could increase the size down the road. I just mentioned that, it just came to mind. But, yeah, that would be my guess on what it is.
There's a county building, the large airport hangar, that's been over 30 years.
It's
still
30,
standing.
yeah.
They reskinned it and did a few other
Reskinned it.
things.
Okay, thank you.
You've answered my questions, thank you.
I just have one other question, sir.
Sure.
Have you ever considered tilt-up construction at all? Is that
Really
okay?
interesting.
Should I withdraw my question?
No, you shouldn't, but the thing that worried me about tilt-up, and I only have experience of this in California, and this was before a lot of the seismic changes, is you've got these huge panels that basically you're locking together with metal brackets. And there may have been one done down here. I just don't, I know it goes up faster. It can go up faster if you have the room to basically pour your panels on site. But for the kind of institutional structures that we're doing, I just don't see it, but I'm open to learning more about it.
I've built several warehouses using tilt-up, and as you mentioned, they'll pour the slab, and then they'll frame each of the walls, and they cast concrete right onto the slab,
Right.
if you will, and they after it cures for say 10 or 12 days, they'll put lifting inserts right into these panels, and they'll bring a crane up and they'll pick it up and they'll set the wall, if you will, on step footers. It's a very inexpensive way to do it, but you're right. You don't have much integrity for shear
You don't have
walls.
much shear.
And so if you get a lot of winds, there's some problems.
Yeah.
But it is probably one of the cheapest ways.
Yeah, no doubt.
Given the winds we get and the fact that we did have that one earthquake that kind of shook everything back and forth, I'm thinking that would not be the way to go.
Well, it's just, you only have to worry about the maintenance workers, or, this is a joke.
This is a
Oh, my
warehouse.
goodness.
It's just,
Jim?
it's right, that's-
No more night meetings for Jim.
All right. May I have a motion for this action item?
I'm gonna let one of you guys do this since, as I've said before, Dennis Anderson is a
Mary, do you have?
relative out the line, down the line.
I move that the Board of Education approve the contract award of SMCPS 2018-05 DSS DC for the design, build, warehouse at Loveville, Maryland to Dennis Anderson Construction Corporation in the amount of $271,000 and further authorizes a construction contingency of $20,000.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
All right.
All right. Motion carried.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you for all your time.
Thank
you.
you.
All right. Dr. Kelly Hall for our summer programs.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Got my support system there if I have a technical problem.
Mr. Howard's getting his exercise this evening.
I do not. It's in the folder. Perfect. There we go. Oh, beautiful.
Bring it down.
See, I was feeling really good about it.
You'll get it. You can do it. All right, take a deep breath.
Okay, we're good. I'm set now. All right, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight to talk about our grant-funded summer programs. And let me begin to say that what I'm going to share with you is completely covered through grants and through some charitable donations from our partnership. So we're going to start with Lunch and Learn. We've done this for quite a few years now, which is our summer feeding program where we want to make sure that our children that are food insecure get an opportunity to eat. And that's been sponsored by our Judy Center and with the absolute collaboration of our food services department. So what we've done the last few years, and there's a little tweak this year, in collaboration between those two departments, we've run Lunch and Learn at Lexington Park Elementary and at George Washington Carver Elementary, as we have included other Title I funded Parks and Rec camps and programs to really maximize efficiency. We're going to do that again this year, and you'll see dates from July 9th to August 16th, and the different times, and the times are staggered so that we can manage the staff. So children are able to come in, they'll enjoy a nutritious meal, there will be learning activities 4 days a week. And the learning activities are supplied by the partners, Parks and Recreation, the NAACP comes and reads to children. There are often, cultural arts events, those kinds of really fun, engaging things. And our Lunch and Learn is staffed by our Judy Center staff. We reorganize their schedules so that they're there. There'll be 2 Judy Center staff at each site, Lexington Park and Carver. And we're also going to use Judy Center funding to put 2 safety assistants, 1 at each site. Now this year, we have graciously gotten Mrs. Cervello and Mrs. Buckler to agree to allow us to expand and offer lunch at Greenview Knolls. And the reason for that is because it's a very densely populated area. They are now a Title I school. They're not within the Judy Center umbrella, but we're all about the partnership. But it also is going to give us an opportunity to try out a new school, because honestly, the maintenance men would like me to stop always going to Carver and Lexington Park. So we're going to try out Grandview Knolls and see what's going to happen, and we're going to feed more kids. So we have all kinds of participating partners. Many of them are here tonight. Many of them cannot be here tonight just because of the time and other commitments this time of year. But here's some pictures from the past of really fun and engaging things that happen in the Learn portion. So last year we had our first really long summer, and we worried about it. We worried about the children that didn't have enough to eat. And so we reached out to the library, some of our greatest partners, and they reached back. And so sitting around a table, in partnership with our food service department, again, in partnership with the Judy Center, we came together and created lunch at the library. And so the library covers part of the time, the school system is covering part of the time. So when you go to lunch at the library, you get a nutritious bag lunch, and that's really just for efficiency's sake. Fruit cups, milk, the meals are free for the students. The parents can eat at a minimal fee, and we actually have coverage to help with that. And there is financial support for adults who need it. So this is the slide that's most important. So the students are going to end school June 15th,
not May 15th.
barring any
June 15th.
barring any weather
Yes.
event. And so you see the red blocks. That first Monday after children are out, they're going to be able to start at the library, and they're going to go to the library, and they'll be able to get their meal and do some engaging things. That's going to give the school system time to catch their breath, clean up a little bit, run for a few weeks, and then on July 9th, Lunch and Learn is going to open at the schools. It's going to run for 6 weeks, Monday to Thursday, because that's our summer schedule. The library will pick it back up on Friday, and then we're going to run again. We'll run through August, and then the last 2 weeks when we need to get ready for our teachers, the library is going to come back around and take it 5 days a week. And I have to tell you, last year we didn't think we'd ever figure that out. And oh, the difference a year makes with experience. I mean, I never thought we'd be here saying, and we're adding Greenview Knolls. So it really, experience does matter quite a bit. So in an effort to be efficient and to use our resources wisely, we have our Title I funded summer school that happens at George Washington Carver. And Mrs. Eichel has been extraordinarily gracious about letting us use the building. And those dates are going to line right up with Lunch and Learn when it's open at Carver. There are 120 spaces for Title I students from the 5 Title I schools. We also offer it to participating non-public students in the Title I programs. Students receive breakfast, they receive lunch, they access the Lunch and Learn. They do access it when it's not open to the community so that we have the ability to kind of manage the crowd. And they have bus transportation on an air-conditioned bus to and from. We try and make it fun. It's well-staffed. This is a sample of what the staffing is going to look like. Credentialed teachers, paras, some summer interns, if we can afford that, and I think we can, who are looking to be teachers. So we can give those young people a good experience to be in schools. We're going to have an enrichment portion in the afternoon. This is what their sample schedule looks like. They come in, they are doing academic work, but it's very small. It's a very small group. It's very tailored and differentiated to their needs. They have a good time to play, and then in the afternoon, there's still more academics, but it's connected and integrated to some really fun enrichment kinds of things to do. And there's just some pictures, and my personal favorite is the reptile man, and he's coming back this year. They're going to have field trips and some guest speakers, so it should be a really good time. And then Head Start. We want to make sure that our youngest and often most at-risk students also get an opportunity to get ready to transition into kindergarten. So at Green Holly Elementary, we're going to run almost the same dates, July 9th to August 2nd. We're going to have a rising kindergarten program, half day, for students that have been in the Head Start program. So it's for our rising, our 4-year-old students that were in Head Start that are rising to 4. And you can see the dates, you can see the time. They also get nutritious meals, and it's really fun. It's very developmentally appropriate, and the kids like it. And again, the staff mirrors very much a little smaller scale than the Title I Summer School. We have a Head Start coordinator, there are lead teachers, there are paraeducators. Our family service providers work all year, and so they're going to be there as well. Okay, so we invite you to come. We invite you to visit. Now, I would be remiss if I did not recognize our partners in the audience. I want to tell you a little bit about what each one is going to do. If it's okay with you guys, I'm just going to have you walk up here and stand in front of these pillars when I call your name, okay? So let's start with our Judy Center, which is kind of the super glue that holds this all together. So we have Wendy Binkley, our Judy Center specialist. And we have Fernetta Carson, our program assistant. And Carrie Sperling, well, thank you. Carrie Sperling, our family service provider from the Judy Center, and Ann Kirshner, our early childhood liaison. And then our very accommodating principals. We have from George Washington Carver, Mrs. Denise Eichel. And we also have the equally accommodating Dr. Rebecca Scow. And okay, I'll let you do it, my friend, Mrs. Liz Cervello. And her assistant principal, Miss Terry Buckler. And I cannot say enough about our food services department under the leadership of Megan Doran. She's here. And Sherry Katsonis. Representing Head Start tonight is one of our family service providers extraordinaire, Jackie Acevedo. Our Title I family engagement supervisor who works very closely with me, and she just found out she's going to be based this summer at Carver. So come on up, Charlotte Woodley. And now our library. Under the leadership of Mr. Michael Blackwell, we cannot thank you enough. Mary Ann Bowman and Amy Ford, our friends from the library, and we had lots of talks last year, and it was not nearly as hard this year.
Talk about Beauty and the Beast. What am I doing?
And then our old friends from the Church Without Walls Outreach Ministry, Pastor Dennett Goodwin and Pastor Dennett Goodwin Jr. And from the Department of Social Services, Carrie Michoto. So this is a part. So this is the community of caring. Social services, they're going to pay for adults who are hungry and probably are, they know them. They're going to make sure that we get them. We feel strongly that we need safety assistance, and the Judy Center can cover those 2 places, but we need one for Greenview Knolls. My friends from the Church Without Walls, they said, we will take care of the safety assistance. The library, the collaboration, and this is half of the partnership. So we are a caring community. There is absolutely nothing you can't do, you can't figure out when you put smart people around a table, and these people are smart. So thank you all very much. You make me very proud to be a part of this community. So we're good to go.
And if we could take just a pause, we'll take a picture with everybody all together. But it is a wonderful tapestry of people coming together to serve our kids and to engage them throughout the summer. But if you didn't have this incredibly gifted person who knows just how to weave things together, the person, the definer of braided services, Dr. Kelly Hall. Thank you so much for all that you do. So how about if we just...
Wait, I have another suggestion.
Okay,
Let's close out the board meeting so I don't
Okay.
come back and forget to do it.
Okay,
Get in
close it
trouble,
out, and then we'll-
and then take pictures.
Okay, that sounds
Is that good?
Perfect.
Okay, so just hang up there for a second. The next board meeting will be May 9th. Moving closer to graduation at 9 o'clock, and we are adjourned. Now we can do pictures.
Okay.
All right.
All right, you guys will be out of here in 5 minutes. Okay.